What's up, everybody? Ooh, I got to move us around. Jeez. I'm Dominic D'Angelo of adfreeshows.com, SEscoops.com, but I'm here today. I'm on the FullHorsemanNetwork.com and live on OneTrueSportTV.com with Magnum TA and Greg Gagne. It's Straight Talk with the Boss, and we got the boss. It's Magnum TA. Magnum, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm glad glad the weekend is quickly approaching, and it is cooling off, feeling a little that morning chill in the air, and I like that. So I'm looking forward to the fall.
That's great. That's great. Greg, you're up in the Minnesota area.
Yeah, we got a good chill in the air today.
You got a good chilling going.
It's not too bad. I mean, it's sunnier than heck, but it's pretty windy, and we went out for a little hike, and it was a little brisk.
Little brisk.
And then we had a big wedding Saturday. My daughter got married.
Yeah.
We had it on my son's place on a beautiful Lake Minnetonka. They have a great lot, set everything up, and we had a hell of a time.
Nice.
I even got out on the dance floor and sang a little old time rock and roll.
Did you?
Yeah, I'm not very good at it, but I get everybody out there and get them involved. I don't do anything till they get out there. I'm going to make an ass out of myself. So are they.
So are other people.
Nice.
That's why they call you the facilitator, Greg.
Pardon me?
That's why they call you the facilitator.
Oh, yeah, the facilitator. All right. Shit.
Yep.
I can't facilitate my own name.
So good weekend then, wedding weekend for you, for your daughter. Congrats to her. Magnum, I wanted to ask, how's everything regarding your area with the hurricane? Obviously, Hurricane Helen hit. Everything was okay in your end for the most part, correct? Or
Yeah, we just had the wind, and we were very fortunate. There was a lot of trees down, though. Throughout Charlotte, a lot of places were without power. Hal Haney, who does a lot of our artwork for Powertown, he's over there in Asheville. And I talked with him this afternoon. They don't know when they'll get water. I mean, the water treatment plant, the main pipeline was running along one of those bridges that got wiped out.
Mm.
So they're trying to figure out how to work their way through it. But that's just 130 miles to my west, and they were devastated.
man, yeah, I heard bad things about Nashville. I was or not at Nashville, Asheville, and then I also heard Tony Conce on the media call how like Adam Copeland was helping out, pull people out of a lot of the damage and everything, and Dax Harwood. So there's been a good contribution to a lot of wrestlers contributing to like the funds to help out people in North Carolina right now. So it's kind of good to hear too.
I sent out a text to Brian Blair, and Brian said the pool's going to have to be fixed. We had some of the roof and a little tree and car damage. And Steve Kern, a lot of wind, a lot of damage, car damage, and Hulk Hogan lost some cars and a lot of trees. But
Hogan lost some cars?
Yeah, but everybody was safe.
Good to hear.
3 text messages that I sent out, and they all got back to me.
That's good to hear. Good to know
they're all safe. They're all good people. Good people.
Yeah.
There's a lot more down there in Florida, but I just couldn't find their email addresses.
Easily get their email address.
Yeah.
I know too.
They're probably there. I just forgot where I put them all.
I checked in on Jerry Briscoe. He's okay. I checked in on Kevin Nash. He's okay. Checked in on Bill Alfonso. He's okay. And he's right in Tampa too. So thankfully all those guys that we were able to check in on are doing all right and everything. But
yeah, good. Yeah. Boy, that's a tough one. That mess down there, can you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
Between the two of them, where are they going to dump all that crap?
Yeah. There's so much. You were telling me about, didn't you say there was like stacks of mattresses all out or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Well, prayers go out to everybody down that affected with all that stuff. It's tough. Hurricane season's scary in the first place, and now it's really amped up this year. So, Oh man, rough times. But we're live here, guys. We got a good crew in here. CB's here, ATF Media's here, Triple E is here. Here, B Rabbit is here. We got some good crew. So get some questions in. Be sure to, if you can, use the super chat. We'll definitely get to your question if you use the super chat. Patty's here too. So awesome. So good to see everybody. Did want to get a lot of thoughts. lots of action going down when it comes to pro wrestling. We had Bad Blood this past weekend, and now we're doing a little catch up when it comes to Raw and SmackDown tonight. But wanted to get both your guys' thoughts on the Bad Blood show. We'll start off with how it opened. Was with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk in that Hell in a Cell match. Did either of you get to catch the show first off? And what do you guys think of that match if you did?
Brutal.
All right.
I don't know what else to say.
I'm interested to see where they're going with it, because obviously Drew has taken the worst hit, here in the last couple of altercations they've had. And, obviously they've got huge plans for him with the company. He's a AAA ball player for them, and he's doing a great job. So I'm curious to see what's next, because they've got that story, told about it as well as you can tell, any kind of rivalry. And I'm just interested to see what kind of twist and turn and where they go next, because I don't know how you really top what they do.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't think you can, but they had a little confrontation with CM Punk and Seth Rollins the other night.
Yeah.
Just kind of a little look and a little bump and a little. So they got to take those two, CM Punk and McIntyre, away from each other for a while here.
I think, I'd have to think that was the blow-off match for those guys.
Where do you go with McIntyre now?
That's the tough thing. Yeah, Magnum, where do you think they should go with McIntyre moving forward?
Well, it's tough, because he needs a Gunther-ish, caliber opponent to really sink into anything. And I don't know whether they're going to let anybody dig into Gunther to get that close to something that would be perceived as him really getting unseated as champion yet. The back of my head, I keep thinking, they let John Cena slip one over on him so he can, break the magic number, for world titles.
Yeah.
It's just hard to tell. They got more ways to go than I can even imagine. But, there's some interesting things going on in WWE land and the whole landscape, because they're signing all these people to Legends contracts back that they were, kind of gone, coming back. And it's like they've got, I don't know if they've got some programming that's going to go hand in hand with the Netflix deal that's going to, make all that interweave together. There's some game afoot that we're not privy to yet. Sure, it'll be very entertaining, and it'll all make sense after it unfolds, but it's just kind of hard to tell. And The Rock, being back interjected in the mix, and him, obviously showing his disdain for, Cody standing in the ring with Roman and the group. He wasn't feeling the love. You could tell that.
Nope.
I'm glad he's back, because he's like the epitome of the heel of heels.
He
is. He set the stage so well with everything they did prior to WrestleMania and throughout that whole program, that the funny thing of it is he stepped right back in, and he instantly has more heat than anybody. He is like sitting on another planet, with a different kind of, reign over the entire deal. So, I'm watching like a fan. I just want to see.
Yeah, I do too.
See what they do.
It's great that he adds such another level of entertainment and heel work to the whole product. It's it just brings it up more. And it's kind of, we get an early taste of it with Bad Blood. We didn't even hit Survivor Series yet, and we already get some of The Rock. Now, the reports don't know how accurate they are, but the report right now is that he's unable to do WrestleMania 41 next year. The Rock is, according to his schedule, apparently. But
he can't do it. Or he can't.
That's what Dave Meltzer is reporting, but we'll see, because
it must be true.
Got it.
Yeah, right. So, there's plenty of time in between that, and we've heard before The Rock unable to potentially make an event, and sure enough, he does. So, with how they've been setting it up, I wouldn't imagine they would just have him show up for Bad Blood and then not have a payoff for that. in the
Oh, yeah.
grand scheme. So, but
You got to tease them. You got to tease them and keep them thinking. They
Yeah,
got us thinking. They got us talking about it. So,
absolutely.
that's good.
Hey, Greg, speaking of tease, they had the Nia Jax versus Bayley match, and then Tiffany ran out to cash in, and they teased that she was going to cash in, but she didn't. And Nia Jax retained the title. There's some speculation, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Some speculation that they could turn Tiffany babyface because she's so over. Do you think she would work as a babyface, or would you keep her currently as a heel for a while?
Well, when I worked out with her all the time, she was a heel.
That's what I mean. You were saying.
I mean, what you see with Tiffany on her interviews, in her the way she carries herself, that's really her. I mean, nobody had to tell her how to do it or what this. They'll tell her what to say, but she'll put it in her own way, and it comes out as a heel, and that's just her nature. You know what? And that's when you have someone like that and their real personality comes out, and that's the way it is. They usually have a pretty long run in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
When you try to be somebody that you're not, generally most of those people aren't going to last a long period of time.
Yeah.
You have them for a short period, but you won't have them for the long run. And the way she is, I think she's in there for the long run.
Yeah, I think they'll position her very well. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they keep her going, because it's like you look at the SmackDown Women's division. Bayley has kind of been her run's kind of done when it comes to this feud with Nia Jax. So it's like, where are you going to fit all these gals and make them elevate? And I think the two top ones are Nia Jax right now and Tiffany, and they're both heels. So, Magnum, do you have a certain perspective on that at all?
Yeah, I agree with Greg's point that you can't take somebody outside of their very nature in terms of character. But 2024 is different than it was in the 80s, and people embrace characters that wouldn't have been considered a babyface 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So you could still be, all the things that she is, and just turn her attention differently. I'm not saying she'd come out singing, Kumbaya with the girls and all skipping down the deal together. But if you put her head to head with Nia, she would be the babyface.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it would, and they could have her, do the deal with Nia and take the title, and they could have Nia turn right back around and annihilate her, afterwards. And have people actually feel sorry for it, because it's easy to do. You got this gargantuan athlete that dwarfs everybody, and there's very few people that can have a good match with her that can't really work. I mean, Bayley obviously can work, so she could have a good match with him, but Nia Jax is like a force of nature. She's such a good heel. She embraces it. She doesn't try to be something she's not. She don't want to be like cutesy. She wants to be, smart aleck. And the arrogance that she, like when she squashes them and sits down on them and, just looks like King Tut, sitting there. And, she doesn't she embraces it, takes it all in and leans in hard. And, she's the one that's in a strong lane. I don't see her ever being a successful baby face, because there's no way you're going to feel sorry for her. There's no way that she's not going to look like she could crush everything she steps in the ring with.
Right.
I mean, and then, you look on the other side of the fence, and you look at the Mysterio deal and the Liv Morgan and that whole twist and turn. And then what's the new girl that came back and spoiled
Raquel
that deal?
Gonzalez.
Yeah. I didn't realize man, she's a large girl, isn't she?
She is. She's very tall.
She's built.
Yeah.
I mean, so having her come in a line with Liv was, something I don't think anybody saw coming, but it certainly, let her live to fight another day, because nobody was going to believe that she was going to come out of that battle unscathed. And, watching Dom hanging upside down by his foot, and, I mean, he plays a perfect, buffoon if he wants to. I mean,
He's great at it.
I mean,
Great at it.
but I mean, on paper, you would have thought Rhea would have just destroyed her, and she's just such a beast of an athlete. So yeah, I'm waiting to see that. Wanting to see when Charlotte gets put back in the mix, what that looks like, because that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
That lady roster at the WWE is phenomenal. They've got a lot of great athletes down there.
Yes.
Well, the NXT stacked up with a whole nother bullpen.
I know.
Equally is good. I mean,
Yeah.
They arguably have got more interesting things going on in the women's division than anybody ever thought would happen in the history of the business.
Right.
Well, even tonight, guys, it's Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill going up against two of the NXT stars, Lash Legend and another woman going. And so they're like mixing them all together kind of elevating everybody. And I think that only benefits not just your NXT, but SmackDown, because I think you do need some fresh faces on that, especially in the women's division. So it's a blessing of so many because and the neat thing is like the brands still have their own distinction. And so but the neat thing is that you're able to cross them over and have people make a surprise show up. Like Cody was on Raw, and then now you had Randy Orton down in NXT having that match with Javon Evans. So there's so much different things that you can kind of play with, but you don't have to give them everything all at once either, too, at the same time, and make it seem confusing. If I missed Randy Orton on NXT, it doesn't mean I'm going to be confused at what happens with Randy Orton on SmackDown.
It's good marketing, I mean, they're worldwide, and they can take, and the way I'm seeing it, the way they're marketing it, they can take anybody over there and draw money with them. No matter if they come from NXT or WWE or SmackDown or any of them. They've done a very, very good job, excellent job of expanding that whole their whole Raw and their whole system. It's fantastic. I mean, it's like baseball.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you got to have depth because you don't know when somebody can get hurt. Look, the Dragunov guy, he's out for, however long with the knee, right?
Right. Yeah. Got injured. I don't remember if it was an ACL or something, but it was, he's out on commission. So,
yeah, I mean, when you had the territories, you had, we only had probably 20 at a time in the AWA, 18 to 20. And if somebody got hurt, you had to figure out a way to fill in with somebody that meant something.
Is that the largest you guys ever worked? Like 18 to 20 guys, the territory?
Yeah.
Wow.
We had 200 guys living in Charlotte.
200?
200.
But see, we only, Vern's philosophy was, we only had, we'd go into Denver, we'd only have 4 matches on the card. We load up in Chicago a little bit. Because he worked with Bruiser and Wilbur Snyder. They ran Indianapolis, and they were also on the Chicago network TV. So we blended in, and you might have 8 matches on the card then. But mostly it was, we'd go in to Denver with 4 or 5 matches top.
Wow.
1 tag team match, and most of them were the rest were singles. And you went in and put your time in and gave them a 2.5 hour show.
Well, Greg, it's funny you mentioned that because Bad Blood was only 5 matches. That's all they had on there.
Yeah.
And, they filled it up. So
it reminded me a lot of what we used to do.
Mm-hmm.
We had a build up to that big one. Of course, our territory was it carried it. It just carried it. We ran. We didn't do like TA was in Charlotte area. They ran there. Was your best time summertime?
No, it was year round.
Year round.
There was no best time. We were selling out 12 months out of the year.
Wow.
Well, see, we ran.
We sold out the Charlotte Coliseum and Greensboro both. I think 12 solid months.
Mm-hmm. We had Green Bay, Wisconsin sold out 3 years ahead of time.
Seriously, 3 years out?
Yeah. They would sell out the night we wrestled. They'd sell out for the next card. That went on for 3 years. So, and we took in the summer. We only ran maybe 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
From May we hardly ran anything. We usually got the whole month of May off, and then June you ran maybe 3 times a week. July, August, September we started picking up from the end of September. September we ran pretty hard. September to the end of April, we ran every night, just about.
Still doing a television every week though, even during that slow time.
Oh yeah, we do it. Yeah, every Saturday we're doing our TV, and then we'd have to, get out to wherever we're going.
Yeah, yeah. What so when you would lose somebody, say, I'm just going to use an example. Say the Crusher gets hurt.
Who?
Say Crusher gets hurt or something like that. Say he gets hurt. He's out for 6 months. Do you get on the horn and call somebody outside of AWA typically when that happens?
If he got hurt, we might bring in the bruiser, his cousin, to come in.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
Or somebody that was involved in the match with Crusher, if it was a tag team match, Mad Dog and him.
Mm-hmm.
If he got cut and he was out, they'd bring Butcher Vachon back in.
Gotcha.
Or somebody else on our roster that was real vicious or that type,
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Sometimes it even turns somebody,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Do you think it's a benefit for NXT? Because they run the Florida Loop, when they're down there and stuff like that. So the stop in St. Louis this past Tuesday, and then they had the stop in Chicago. So it was out of their element. They haven't typically done that in years. Do you think it's a viable enough commodity that they could kind of tour them around a little bit and kind of give that more of a buzz? Because it felt like a bigger deal when they're in these bigger areas, but it's not like they're like big arenas like a WWE would do, but it's NXT, so it's on a smaller scale. Do you think there's some value in moving them around a little bit more now?
Sure, yes. You get them out in the public, and it makes people more aware of them. I don't know if NXT could go into a 18,000 seat arena and sell it out without putting a couple of the stars from the WWE on there.
Right.
Unless they get really hot. But I'm not sure what NXT's ratings are around the country. If they're real strong in an area, then they could probably carry it.
They're better than AEW.
That's true. Well, so this week they did really good numbers. And I'll speak to what so initially I think they were going to actually maybe where the St. Louis Blues played, I'm guessing, for the initial show, but then they downgraded to a smaller arena in St. Louis. And the numbers were good there, I guess. But the ratings for this week was like 870 something thousand. That's pretty darn good.
Which show?
For the NXT show that they did on Tuesday night.
Really?
So, yeah. So pretty impressive numbers. And then AEW switched to Tuesday just for this week because of the MLB playoffs. And they got hit. It was, I think they have like 325,000 only people tuned in for that. And that's a go home show for their pay-per-view this weekend.
Yep. That hurts.
Yeah, that's tough times right there. But they did get a TV deal. We didn't talk about that yet. And I believe it's a 4-year deal, the 4th year being an option for Turner. And they're going to be airing on TNT and TBS with Collision. Then no word on Rampage, but they will also be simulcast at the same time on HBO Max. And then on top of it, you can get the pay-per-view on HBO Max, but at a discounted price. So good news for the wrestling business.
Well, maybe it is, and it might be oversaturation too.
Yeah, true.
I mean, the WWE is so strong, so strong that I don't have a feel for AEW, and that's why I don't like to talk about it so much.
Right.
I can't get into it, and that's why I don't like to comment on it, because I can't get a feel of the direction they're going. You get kind of a direction where they're going, but it's just, I don't know what it is about it.
No, I think you're not the only one.
Not classy. The WWE, everything it's class, and the athletes all look classy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't get that same feeling when I watch AEW. And maybe that's
I think
just
the
me.
continuity is the big part of it you're talking about, because
Yeah.
you can't follow a theme, or you can't watch a show and feel definitively like they delivered some that they made somebody, or they did something you're waiting to see what's gonna happen next. There's not enough things that play off like you can follow the dotted line, like where they're going with the stories. I mean, some things they do, but it's just inconsistent. So there's always good content. Seriously, I mean, I've never watched a show, I don't think, where I said, "Oh man, that whole show was just junk." It's not that at all.
No.
I've watched some really good performers, and I watched some guys go out there and just give their heart and soul to the business I know they love. But it's like the stage that's set, and everything that happens from start to finish just isn't. It's got a theme that I can really wrap my head around.
Yeah,
And
that's where I am on that, TA. That's great presentation there of what it is.
Yeah. Well, even me, I cover it, and I'm like, I didn't know this Title Tuesday thing where they switched it from Wednesday to Tuesday was happening. I thought that was like an added show they were doing. So I had no idea that they were just moving the show to Tuesday this week. And it was all last minute. It felt but Magnum, I think you hit the nail on the head. The big issue with AEW is the continuity and the understanding of it all, where like we were talking about NXT, and we were talking about how a lot of the talent was moving in and out of like the main roster and making guest appearances here and there. You can watch that all in a vacuum. You can watch NXT in a vacuum. You can watch SmackDown in a vacuum. But if AEW, you watch Dynamite, if you didn't catch Collision, you're going to miss part of a storyline because they told part of that on the Collision, and then they don't do a very good job at filling you in on it. So that's their huge issue right now. I'm hoping, cautiously optimistic, that this TV deal will be like, hey, okay, we're secure for like the next 3 years. Let's try to get this in a cohesive mode and make all this make sense for people too.
Well, that all comes down to your booking department, who's ever doing the booking, and continuity. And that's why it's really good to have a couple wrestlers on the booking committee that really have a good feeling, not just for them, but for the rest of the talent and how to put things together for them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's what TA, I think, hit it right on the head, is the continuity.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hard to follow. It
Very
goes
much.
from this guy to that guy and back to this, and what happened over here, and then you don't see it for 2 weeks later or something.
Exactly.
That's the way I've seen it. And like I say, I just unfortunately I just don't watch it enough. I should, because we're talking about it, but it's hard for me.
Well, you're not the only one, Greg. I mean, it's like there's other people that feel that way too. I know, and I definitely sympathize with a good deal of it too, because I was a huge fan starting off. I was like, man, I got to tune in. This feels like a big thing, and they did not put the focus on the stars. And to what you're saying, it was you'd see somebody for a couple of weeks, boom, then they're gone for like 3 months, and then you got to heat them up again. And it's just like you want to live vicariously through.
They've got some really great talent down there.
Yeah, but big time.
It's just the storylines aren't put together properly.
Right. Frustrating aspect.
That should get us some letters.
That'll get us some letters and cards coming in.
Yeah, we're grumpy old men. I know.
That's it.
And it's like the talent feels like they got to defend the company and explain why if you don't get it, you're just not cool. You're not with it, and you don't know what's happening in today's time, and blah 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 blah. And I'm going, well, you know what? Hey, I'll count me out. But if you're getting 1.5 million viewers a week, I'll just shut up and stand corrected. But I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Give me the 5 on that one. Give me that high five.
Get the high five. Yeah, no, it's I think a lot of it. So many people take it. They want to defend the company, and I get that. It's like and that kind of thing. But it's also like, hey, this is constructive criticism. I want it all to succeed and do well, because it makes a lot more fun when both products are really, really cooking and feeling big time. And so, you just hope that they heed the advice of some people and kind of be like, all right, like this is kind of a reality check. We're solid for the next 3 years. Let's make this work. So we'll see how it goes. That's for sure.
Greg,
Greg,
you've got some A talent with C talent organization or storyline.
C minus booking going on.
Yeah.
C minus booking a little bit.
Who's that damn booker down there?
Who is that? Who is that guy?
Who are they?
Well, I know Tony.
A guy that could buy you and I with the lint money in his pocket.
Greg, I think Tony Khan should actually hire you to be the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. What do you think of that?
I don't know if I can handle that anymore.
No.
TA could. I don't know if I could.
Oh no, I've got my hands full with this little thing you got me involved in. Thank you very much. I'm full.
But
I'm 65 doing 5 jobs.
Well, I'm 75 and I'm forgetting what I'm doing half the time. So thank God I got you.
Well, Greg, you were a Notre Dameist a couple of weeks ago. You happened to say that the WWE was. You heard that they were bringing Jesse Ventura in to do the Saturday Night's Main Event. Yep. Sure enough, Saturday Night's Main Event got announced, and then just this week, Jesse Ventura revealed that he signed a Legends contract with WWE. So, you hit the nail on the head there, Greg. You were
Once in a while,
that week.
I forgot I talked about that though.
Yeah.
It went viral the next day. Everybody was posting it on social media like they
yeah, I bet.
Yeah, people were going nuts.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, then they must be watching our program here. Our
That's
podcast.
Right. Producer Robert helped with that
controversy, so they tune in.
They tune in. That's it.
One of these days, TA's going to hit me in the back of the head with a bat.
The heel turn.
It'll be a big Powertown on the back of my head.
No, you're safe. I'll be watching your back. I won't let nobody hit you in the back.
Well, I'm watching yours too, and you do a phenomenal job for our company.
Heck yeah.
Well, there's a couple fellows out there that may beg to differ with you, but we won't mention their names on air. And but I will say that the ship is tightening up, and we got a great team of guys working together in Powertown. Of course, Greg part of that team, but we have solicited some new people to come alongside and take on some very key roles within the organization, and it's going to pay huge dividends. And we've got a lot more going on than just what people are aware of, and they'll be aware in time, but it's not just what it looks like on paper. So right. It's going to be very interesting. And Rome wasn't built in a day, and a bunch of old smart guys can't get together and whittle something out of nothing and get it to right where they want immediately. But we're a very persistent group, and we got a great little fan base. I mean, we got a fan base of over 10,000 people that are customers.
Wow.
So I look forward to next year and tightening up our production cycles and the way we go about doing things, because the fact of the matter is, there's a whole group of people in the community that are used to, limited edition availability things and all kind of stuff, and that's why they pay up front for something they don't get for 5 and 6 months. But I come from a little bit, I appreciate that, but I come from the passion side of what we do as well. And I think the people that pay it forward should, be able to reap the benefit of better prices. But I also think the people that want to be able to get something of someone they like should have it made available to them without having to wait. And after the fact, and maybe have to pay a little bit more money for it, but nonetheless can get what they want. And we're gonna figure out how to serve both those needs moving forward. And we got a whole new product line coming out that we're launching initially with MLW, and it'll be the Galoob stylization that WCW did back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it's a static figure, but it's something that's still very a good representation of the subject matter, and it's going to allow us to do things in a much quicker process than what it takes to do these articulating figures. And it's you got to have something to cover a whole lot of different things in the wheelhouse. Because if you got all your eggs in a basket of something that takes 9 months to do, you're going to be starving for 3 months out of 9.
I've got an event I have to go to tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
And I was wondering what to take with. And TA, I sent you a message today. I've got to talk to you because this is something we might be able to do with our entire roster with Powertown.
All right.
And it would be if we can do it, if it's a possibility, and that's why I run it by you. They would have income coming in every month. Everybody.
How about that?
Money coming in?
What is that?
Not for you and me, for everybody else.
Well, I know, but we got to pay it out.
We're doing all this just for the fun.
Just for the giggles.
No, I'm not doing it just for the fun at all. I'm just saying.
You think Magnum's having fun doing this?
I can tell you definitively that there's a lot of not fun days, but I'm one of the visionary guys, and I know that Greg didn't bring me into this for me to fail, and I've overcome some pretty crazy odds at doing things in my entire life, and this is just another chapter.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're the greatest partner I've ever hooked up with because he handles the business part of it, and he does a phenomenal job. And I'll say that to everybody everywhere I go.
Yeah.
You really do, TA, and I appreciate everything you've done, and you know that. I've told you a number of times, and you're probably getting tired of it.
Yeah, well, you're a good partner because I would just be floundering through life, wondering what to do with all this extra time. And called me up and said, "Hey, Magnum, remember me?"
Hey,
you don't need to spend it with the family, do you?
No.
Or your wife? How's she holding up?
She's ready to shoot you.
Why don't you deal with some stretches of making some wrestling figures, huh?
Yeah. No, it's all good.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, Magnum, what details can you tell people about the MLW line coming out with the glues and everything?
So I can tell you that I didn't realize the really big stars that they represent, and I didn't realize the fact that they've been a thing for 20 years. I didn't realize that they've been around so long, and it's the relationship with not just MLW but also the Master Public guys with Kevin Conroy. All this is going to be kind of harmonious thing because we've got this commitment to do things for the mass luchadors, and I didn't realize that MLW represented people from CMLL.
Yes.
So I'm not going to disclose who this first lineup is. I've got the first 5, but I mean, I am thoroughly impressed with what this is going to look like, and the fact that they really want to partner, with our company and invest in this with us, and not just looking at us to be a means to an end for them. They're really, again, looking at this as a partnership. So I'm excited about this synergy and people that are putting on live matches and have a passion for wrestling. It's not something else they do along with, they just happen to, they own a wrestling company, but they're not really happy about owning a wrestling company. These people really are enthused about what they're doing, and and excited about what the future might hold, and want to partner with us. So, I'm looking forward to that, and I want to see everybody flourish. I want to see TNA flourish. I want to see AEW flourish. I want to see all of them flourish. But I want to, I want to see people that understand that this is a business too. And we weren't just sitting around on a hedge fund or something. Said we got $50 million. We just see how we can go invest in everybody, and not have anybody else going to come alongside a little bit.
Yeah. No, it's a MLW is a good company. They've have had a steady product for several years. I've been happy to work with them too, with doing social media and stuff. And you can tell, like Corbett Bauer is very, very passionate about what he does with the company and moving it forward, and has a game plan laid out. And so it's a really well ran machine over there. So and yeah, the roster is always loaded. They always have some unique talent coming in with different styles, and yeah, they had the connection with CMLL. And it's been really good stuff. So I'm excited to see what the first line is going to be. So everybody will have to keep their eyes peeled for that. So
I might allude to it off camera.
ooh, okay. I like it. I like it a lot. I dig it. Well, let's get a couple of questions.
To Dominic, he'll have it all over by tomorrow.
I will. I'll hit the dirt sheets with it all.
Yeah.
Let's get a couple of questions in here before we close things out. Matt Carter has a question for both of you guys. What are your guys' thoughts on Jimmy Garvin? Magnum, let's start with you. Jimmy Garvin.
He's one of my best friends in life. I've known Jimmy since I broke in the business, basically almost before I broke in the business. Met him in 1979, and
Wow.
And he was as nice to me before I ever made anything of myself in the business as he was after, and and we have been friends ever since. He lives about 15 minutes from my house, and just known him and Patty and the girls forever.
How about that? Greg, how about you? Do you have any interaction with Jimmy?
Oh yeah, he worked for us, him and his wife, Patty, and they just did a phenomenal job. And he like TA says, he's the nicest guy, easiest guy to work with. Him and his wife, and they're just pillars of professional wrestling. I mean, they really are. When some people let it go to their heads, they never did. They were all even keel, whatever you needed, they were there for it. And TA is very fortunate to have him as a good friend, and I like to think of them as friends of mine, but not. He's right there with them all the time.
Right. Well, so my introduction to Jimmy Garvin was when the WWE Network first came out, and they had some of the world-class matches on there, and the shows on there, and seeing him with Sunshine and all that kind of stuff. I loved Jimmy Garvin as he was such a good heel and everything like that. In that regard. Yeah, he was good stuff. So
yeah. He used Patty better than anybody else I saw use their valet. He and she did, and they really worked so well together, and it was just natural. It was easy.
Yeah, good stuff, great stuff.
There's a clip somewhere because he was my last program last match I ever had was with Jimmy. Wow. But we were working this deal in we were down in Columbia, South Carolina, and they said, Patty's going to get all up in your face, and I did something to get Jimmy out of the ring. They said, we want you to spank her. And I said, okay. And she got all up in my stuff. She had jumped on me and done all kind of crazy stuff. And I did. I turned her over my knee, and she always wore those like spandex type pants where there's no pants and spandex. And and I'm old school, right? I throw one of the solidest punches in the business. No, I'm not going to give you a working spanking. And she told me years later, she said she had been spanked since she was a little girl. Yeah, she didn't have any problem selling it, putting it over. None. It was all easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
She was a real trooper, though. She was a trooper.
Oh gosh, man.
God, she was good.
Yeah, my hand hurt. I felt a little bad afterwards.
I bet. Just about that much. Chris Todd has an interesting one here, Magnum. Magnum, do you remember back in Canton, Ohio, when you and Dusty came in on the horses? Do you remember that?
I remember a few things with horses, and horses just didn't ever work out like Dusty thought they were going to work out. Because Dusty could ride a horse. He truly could, do the cowboy thing and ride the horses, do all the stuff. But You bring a horse with steel shoes on inside a building with a concrete floor is not a good thing.
No.
Really?
And
So
Dusty
explain
was
to me.
on
I'm a
the horse
novice. I'm a novice. Explain to me why.
because they're slick. They're like ice skates. They have
Oh.
good traction. A steel shoe is meant for the horse to have something to dig into the ground, the turf, whatever, for their feet. Well, if you have one inside like that, you should put. They have these rubber, like almost like boots you can put on their feet to keep it. But Dusty was on a horse and went all the way to the ground with his feet like going like it was on ice skates, and came back up, and Dusty never came off of it. And I said, man, I said, we need to rebook this or rethink this whole thing. I said, yeah. I said, this might look good on paper, but man, if you hadn't have been way more agile than you look, you'd have been a statistic right now.
He should have used that Appaloosa donkey they had in Minneapolis.
Well, yeah. Then there's that, right?
Then there's that one. Well, hey, by the way, today is Dusty's birthday, October 11th. So how about that? Happy birthday, late Dusty. Let's see here. Oh, I just wanted to chime in with this one. I enjoyed this one. Here B Rabbit says, despite my childhood, I still do listen to Bob Seger. I'm not a diehard fan for better or worse, but he was a big part of my childhood. I love Bob Seger, Greg. So,
I do too. I love Bob Seger.
Yes.
Man,
Night moves.
We took those old records off the shelf the other night after I sat and listened to them by myself.
Cut a rug with him.
Yeah, I learned that. I can't sing worth a crap, but I get everybody involved. I said, we're not doing this. I'm not going to get out here and embarrass myself unless everybody's on the dance floor. And I mean, we had people out there that were older than me, and I'm 75. One guy was 84, and we had him out there going.
Moving and shaking.
Yeah. So it's just, it's something that we've done it at every one of the kids' weddings, my two sons, and Gail said, Dad, you've got to do it. She sent the stuff over. We can't have a wedding without it.
It's tradition.
Yeah, we had fun. It was great. Great event.
It looked beautiful. The pictures you sent to me and Megan, they were great. Very happy.
Yeah, I was too. My daughter just was beautiful. She looked so good.
Yeah, great.
She's a really hard worker too. Oh my God.
Yeah. Good to hear. Good to hear. All right. Hey, learns from her dad, right? We got, let's see. This was just well wishes. CGA RT says, hi, Dom, Greg, and Magnum. Glad to hear everyone is safe from the two storms. Things can be fixed and replaced. People can't. Stay safe and God bless you all. Thanks very much, CG. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dom.
Yep. Oh, Darren Staley. Uh-oh. What's he saying here? $5. Sorry, work has kept me busy. Missed y'all. Thank you. And Aunt Patty says, hey. Says I hate a Magnum. Aunt Patty coming on back.
There you go.
There we go. Let's see here. I thought there was another good question. Oh, yeah. Eddie asked a good question. Oh, still got to get your address, Greg. I got to get you merch sent out, everything like that still. Jeez, I'm behind.
I got to read these. I can't. There we go.
That's okay. Greg and Magnum, is there any turns that you thought weren't a good idea? Any turns, babyface or heel turns? Something that stick out to you guys that you're like, we should not have done that, or anything to that effect? Magnum?
No, I got one that didn't work for me.
It didn't work for you?
It didn't work for me. Sergeant Slaughter's partner. He put me through the drills.
They put you through the drills. Wasn't a fan of that, huh?
And then wore the green bandana and stuff. That wasn't me.
You weren't Rambo.
It was a bad deal. Shouldn't have never done it.
How long did that last for you? How long was that program?
Well, I don't know, about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about you, TA? Do you have any like that? Oh no, yours were all good.
Well, no. See, I had that compressed career. You had too much time for fluff stuff. I didn't have time for that. I had. Oh,
don't give me that.
No, I mean,
hey, don't even go there with me on that.
I only had all that compressed in 7 years. You had decades that you could be involved in stuff like that. I mean, you were involved in a program you didn't like for a year.
Yeah, but
you know somebody you could have helped with that.
Let's see, my year, you were 7 years, but you wrestled every night of the week. You never had a day off
10, 11
for
times
7
a week.
years. So you had as much experience as I did. So don't give me that.
Well, I didn't want to say that, but you're right.
Yours is
no,
more.
I never saw. I saw a turn personally that it took the person a really long time to get it, but once they did, it was a shame because once they got it, it was too late. But when they turned to heel with me, he'd been a babyface his entire career. Mm-hmm. And working under a mask, there's all kind of nuances and things and mannerisms and pantomimes you do as a babyface that he knows work, and he could do them in his sleep.
Who'd you do it with?
With wrestling too.
Okay.
But when he turned heel, he didn't know how to, he was Mr. Wrestling. He didn't know how to get out wrestled or how to get, in a position to have to cheat to get an advantage or take a cheap shot or do those little things because that just wasn't his wheelhouse.
Right.
And man, I don't remember how many weeks we were in the program or months or whatever, but he finally stinking got it. And man, he was a good heel. He was really a good heel. And Bill was so over it because of how long it had taken and not getting the results that he wanted like that he canned the whole flipping deal.
Wow.
That took and it was a really shame because though Johnny, was kind of an eccentric, different kind of guy, and there's a lot of people have Johnny Walker stories. From Dutchman, I've heard Dutch Mantel talking about him on his podcast, and I certainly had ones that I don't even want to go into because he didn't necessarily bring out some of the best in me at different points in time. But he finally did get it, and it was just a shame because it could have extended his career another 4 or 5 years. About without having to even work that hard because he could just, but he didn't get it and it didn't happen that way, and that is what it is.
Wow. Eddie adds that he didn't like the Pez Whatley turn in Jim Crockett Promotions whenever that happened.
Oh yeah, because he was with Barbarian, I think, and Paul
Jones
and Paul Jones Army. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that too. But he was a good heel. I mean, Pez could work, and actually he probably had he got a little boost out of life by doing that too because of where he was at, timing of it, and his career was and everything else. Because Paul was a good heel manager, and Barbarian was a great guy to be in the ring with. Period, because he could just stink and work.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I know just from me watching as a kid in high school was the Steve Austin heel turn. Like after he turned on The Rock at WrestleMania 17, I remember he was great at being a heel. It was a funny comedic heel, but it was like, does that really work for Steve Austin? Like he could have got a lot more money out of him being still a babyface, I think, during that whole run. So, and
my tag team partner Brunsell always wanted me to turn on him.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man. Now, do you think between you two, who would have been a better heel and a better baby face between you and Brunzell?
I was better at both.
You're better. Okay.
No, he wanted me to, we always had this feud with Bobby Heenan, and he thought if Heenan made me switch, then Heenan was a manager with me.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, that wouldn't have been bad, though, because I think it would be neat because there's the dynamic of Vern's just the ultimate baby face, and if you're the heel son with Bobby, that would have been a pretty cool dynamic, I think.
Yeah, I'm a pretty good heel right now.
You're great.
STA. I get a lot of people in trouble.
We play the good cop, bad cop thing.
That's it. What a tandem. See, you guys are
and I let him go because he'll say what I'm thinking. I'll just let him go. And then I'll try to reel him in a little bit, but then I'll let him back out.
he reels me in. I kind of go off quite. My father was French, and he had that temper, and he would go off, and I guess I inherited that. But he said, you have to be honest with people. Tell them the way it is. So
Yeah.
a lot of people don't like to hear it, but
don't pull any punches.
I got my buddy TA there to reel me in. No,
That's it.
Wait.
Good cop up here, bad cop over there.
I'll talk to him.
I did want to add. Okay, so Patty says the Barry Windham heel turn was the best. She cried when Barry Windham turned heel. How about that?
It was good. I was there in Greensboro. Yeah. It was fantastic. And Barry was, it's funny because he was like the epitome of a baby face, and fantastic, getting sympathy and working with all those guys he did when he was young. But he was such a ring general and so fluid and so, seriously, out of all the guys that I never got to work with in that capacity, I would have loved to work with Barry.
What a program that would have been,
right? Him and I, like bouncing around back and forth, fighting the world title kind of crap would have been, big. I think it would have been big money.
Definitely. Oh my gosh, definitely. Yeah, the looks, personas, identities you guys got, no doubt about it. Darren Staley, what's the difference between a heel and an anti-hero? There's a big distinction. Where do you draw that line at being a heel and an anti-hero there? Magnum, you're the perfect person.
Well, a true heel is a coward, is not got any anti-hero in him. A true heel is just out for themselves, whatever it takes to get, their agenda, cheat, lie, whatever they got to do to get there. And there's no redeeming factor in them. And they have no ambition of making anybody like them on any level whatsoever. And they can't be the toughest guy in the room, because if they are, then you start, going that other route. The heel has got to be able to get out toe to toe, bell time to bell time, wrestling hold for wrestling hold, get outdone, or there's no reason for him to be a heel. Right. There's just no reason. And so the anti-hero, rough, rugged around the edges and gruff and, maybe kissing babies and, doing all that stuff, but has got some admirable quality running in that DNA that you can see that if I was in a fight, I'd want this guy, have my back.
Right.
Kind of thing. The heel, you would know, would turn on you. It would shove you out in front of that bus, if they thought it was going to hit them. So maybe that'd give you a little scenario.
Greg, you're a great heel. What would you have anything to add to that?
I would say, just thinking of who I would, Mad Dog Vachon was a great both ways and unpredictable. You never really knew. And this is that COVID fog.
The fog's happening.
Ray the Crippler Stevens.
Yeah.
Was another one that, could go both ways. And then when he was the baby face, you still didn't know if you could trust him or not. And the same thing with Mad Dog. He could go off the handle at any time.
Yeah.
But the people liked it because, it usually was somebody that a team like a Ventura and Adonis and had racked up somebody, and they brought Mad Dog in. And he was still a natural heel and everything else, but now they brought him in because this is the kind of guy that can teach these two a lesson that they deserve.
Right. Yeah. So that, he's like, gets that good anti-hero vibe in that regard.
Yeah. Anti-hero. That would probably be it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll close it out. Darren also added Magnum for you. He says, also in about 3 weeks, I'll be one of Magnum's state legislators. He's running for state legislation there. He can reach out to me with any issue and I will push it through. So there you go, Magnum.
Nice. Well, I know I need something. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm even smart enough to know what I need, but I'm glad to know that I have a supporter in high places somewhere. And certainly North Kakalaki legislation is good enough for me.
Darren, we can get some Powertown figures. And you can put them on your inauguration speech on each side for you.
There you go.
Yeah, get that going.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Yes, if you like what you're seeing and you want more stuff and keep in tune with what Powertown has cooking, scan that QR code, go to powertownwrestling.com and be ready for it. You go to powertownwrestling.com. You can check that out right there. Guys, if you also like what you see with Magnum and Greg, you can support them on One True Sport. You can get their merchandise right now. You can scoop up this Greg Gagne Heart of a Champion t-shirt. You can get that now at onetruesport.com. And plus, we got several other styles. I believe we have a hoodie up there for Greg. Yes, we do. And we got more merchandise, too. So then we got the best of three. So there's Nikita, but we also got Magnum TA. We got Magnum and Nikita with the best of 7 t-shirt. And we got the Magnum TA Boss at Chesapeake. But there's plenty more on there. I got to get both these guys a new set of merch, too, sent their way, too. So that's on my end to do. But go to onetruesport.com and you can get your own merch there. Good high quality t-shirts. Very happy with how they look. So be sure to support the show and do it that way. Also, we're live now on audio. You can get us on the audio feed. Just type in 4 Horsemen Network on your podcast feed of choice. You'll get Arn Anderson. You'll get Straight Talk with the Boss, Magnum TA, and Greg Gagne. Give us 5 stars on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts as well. So, but we thank everybody for tuning in here this week. We'll hop back on. Glad we've all weathered the storm. Prayers to everybody that is still experiencing a lot of the damage from all stuff, and just make sure that you stay safe and support one another. So thank you, Greg. Thank you, Magnum. It's always fun to chat with you.
Great job, TA. Great job.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Thanks for bringing my memory back.
Yes. Getting rid of that COVID fog.
Gotta get rid of it.
Get rid of it. All right, guys. We'll see you next week here on Straight Talk with the Boss, Magnum TA and Greg Gagne.